I was thinking, in these days of pandemic when we are all at home, we have got actual time to think about ourselves, to think about our family, about everyone in the world as a whole. We have really got time. We are all at home. Now, in fact, few offices and companies and factories have again opened. But there was a time in between when no one went anywhere. There was total lockdown in almost the whole globe. Everyone was at home. Everything was closed down. Nothing was working. No machines were running. No aeroplanes were working. No trains. No factories. In other words, no pollution. There was no one working on the sea. There were no factories working which could create any type of air pollution or water pollution. People were all at home. There was absolute silence. There was no noise pollution too. And it is for many of us who have still not gone back to work, we still have time to retrospect and introspect. Retrospect, to think about our past activities and analyze and introspect whatever we were doing, the mad rush of every day, was helping us or ruining us. And this is today's chapter all about. This is the poem Keeping Quiet. This is the third poem from the book Flamingo for class 12. And it was written by Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda, he belonged to Chile. He's a Chilean poet, alright, belonged to Chile. And his pen name is Pablo Neruda, which later on, he made it as his legal name also, like he changed his name to Pablo Neruda only. Previously his name must be something else. This was his pen name. Later on it became a legal name, alright. And he belonged to Chile. And he got the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. And something was different in his writing. He always used green pen to write. Green pen. Green color symbolizes hope, growth, progress. And it is quite possible because of this he always used green ink. Alright? And his poem, Keeping Quiet, is all about introspection and retrospection that I was just speaking about. This has happened for the first time in years, in centuries, that everyone in the globe, everyone in the world had to stay at home because of the pandemic of COVID-19. And in this poem, Pablo wants everyone to keep quiet for a few minutes. For once, he says, keep quiet. He wants people to introspect and retrospect. He wants people to think what they have done in past and whether, to analyze whether whatever they were doing, the results, the consequences of which were good or bad, were helping the person or destroying or ruining his life. So when he starts the poem, he says, I want everyone to count 12 and for a moment to keep quiet, to be in silence. Why does he use this 12? He probably mentions the duration of time. Either it is 12 hours, because the day and night are divided into 12, all right, and or he says, he refers to the 12 months of the year. So he says that for once I want everyone in the whole world to keep quiet, not to speak any language. You know, when we stay at different places, everybody has got a different language, and probably this is creating a barrier. So he says, I want people to stop any activity and to just use no language, feel united by just maintaining silence. He wants people to stop working. He says, I want people to not to use their arms. Arms, maybe he's talking about the physical arms that we use for activity, for fighting, for arguments, or he's referring to the weapons, arms that we use during wars. So he says, I want people not to use any arms, not to speak any language, to maintain silence. And this silence will remove the barriers of the language and make you feel a little united. He moves on to say that I want people to stop working for some time. People are rushing for their everyday, works. They are running to their jobs, they are running to the schools, running to their offices. The man at the sea who does fishing, he's running there, and the person who is there, from this ocean they take out the salt. Even the salt man who collects salt, he is also rushing. Everyone is rushing to their jobs. For once he wants to create an exotic moment, a strange environment. Exotic, a unique, a strange, a different environment. He wants that by doing this, we will feel united, we will feel sane. And then we will get time to stop and introspect ourselves. He wants that people should stop, at the sea when they are fishing, they are catching whale, they are cutting the bladder of the whale and taking out the oil and the flesh, they are separating that. The man, the person who is taking out salt from the ocean, he wants him to stop for some time and to give a look at his bruised hands. When the person collects, he is so much in a rush to collect because he feels that is the means of his survival. He has to work, he has to run, he has to earn money for survival. He wants people to stop for once, to see his, that man will be able to see his hands are bruised, his small cuts and, abrasions. He wants him to stop. He wants everybody to stop and to think, what are they rushing for? Whether it is helping their lives or ruining their lives. He goes on to say that he wants people who create green wars, he wants them to stop for some time. He wants people who create the fire wars to stop for some time. Green wars is the war with nature, war with Mother Nature, the greenery. How this takes place? By deforestation, by fishing, by mining. Fishing, we go and disturb the marine life. Deforestation, we are cutting the trees. We are killing the trees for our needs, to fulfill our demands. We are killing the trees. We are killing the habitat of so many animals. We are spoiling all that. We are mining, mining for extracting oil, for extracting the fossil fuels. We are drilling deep inside the earth, disturbing the earth, destroying so much. Are we not creating graves for ourselves? Are we not spoiling Mother Nature? We are exploiting everything. We are exploiting the natural resources. Getting our graves ready for ourselves, for our future generations. Pablo wants people to stop these green wars. He wants people to stop fighting, to stop creating the other wars, when they use the fire and the weapons. He wants people to stop for some time and think, what are they doing? He wants them to wear new clothes and to walk like brothers in shade. New clothes means new approach to life. He wants them to think differently. And by saying he doesn't want people to do this, to do that, to stop the engines, to stop the factories, to stop working, to stop going to the ocean, he does not mean inactivity. He says, I want to create silence, which should not be misunderstood by lethargy. He says, I want people to stop for some time, to be silent. That means not to be lazy. He wants people to introspect, to analyze what they are doing. And in the same way, when he says inactivity, he says, do not misunderstand me. Inactivity does not mean doing nothing or death. He wants people to walk hand in hand and to stand under the shade of a tree, admire nature and bring a new approach to life. Think what you are doing, whether it is helping you or not. Whether you are doing anything to grow your soul. Any values you are adding to your soul or not. He wants you to analyze that. He wants you to analyze whatever you are doing is for what? What is this mad rush for? Why are we threatened by death? Why are we running for survival? Death is a necessity. But why get threatened by it? Whosoever is born will die one day. This everybody knows, because we all are mortals. But why is this mad rush in our lives? We are running every day in the morning. Why? What for? For survival? Our target is only to survive? Or death is threatening us? No. That is what he says. Pablo says, stop for once and analyze, what are you doing? Alright. And then he goes on to say that we should learn a lot from the earth. Earth, Mother Nature, teaches us a lesson. When winter comes, the trees, the bushes, everything is covered with snow, is iced, is all frozen. The oceans are frozen too. But that doesn't mean it is death. Work is still going on underneath. The marine life is still alive at the bottom. The upper layer is freezed does not mean that things have finished. Things have died. Life is still surviving underneath. In the same way, when the trees and all are frozen with snow and ice, that doesn't mean the roots below the crust are not working. They are doing their own works. As soon as spring comes and this ice melts, we see new buds, new leaves. Life, we see again erupting on these trees. The seeds start germinating quickly. Everything was working underneath. We should also take out some time and study inside what we are doing in our lives. We need to analyze ourselves. We need to retrospect, to go back and see our past events, whether whatever we were doing was helping us or destroying our lives. Were the things that we were doing taking us towards grave? We need to introspect, analyze whatever we are doing. So we need to take out some time from our busy schedule, this mad rush, and introspect and analyze. So that is why he says, I want everyone to keep quiet for some time at least. You will create an exotic moment. You will feel one, you will feel united with the whole world. You will feel each and every person in the globe is your brother. In the beginning, he starts by saying that I want everybody to keep quiet. And at the end also he says these lines, and then he says, now I will go. So, there's a difference between the two. In the beginning, he says, he appeals to people to keep quiet for some time, and then he explains what he wants to say actually. And at the end, he says, now I've explained what I meant to say. Now you should start this exercise on your own. And I will go and motivate someone else for the same. So there's this differentiation between the starting and the ending. I'll quickly go stanza wise again. I have covered everything. Still, we'll cover every moment here of the poem, and then I'll quickly tell you the poetic devices. I have my book here, so I can quickly tell you. I'll read and tell. Alright? So here, in the first paragraph, he starts by saying that I want everyone to count 12. I told you 12 he has used for the duration of time. It may be hours or it may be the 12 months of the year. Alright, he wants everyone to keep calm and still, and so you will feel united. He wants everyone to speak no language, be silent, and that will create that gesture of silence will be same for all. All barriers of language will be removed, and keep quiet, you will feel united. Alright, so he wants everyone to be united, to keep silent, and not to use any arms. Arms, he means to say by arms for physical arms also, not to move not to do any type of work, and also by weapons. He means to say he wants everyone not to fight, not to argue, not to do any movement, and not to fight or use weapons, no wars. Alright, and then he says, I want everyone to be silent and you will feel united. In the second paragraph, he moves on to say that everything will come to a standstill. If everybody is quiet and stops any type of motion, then everything will become to a standstill, and that strange environment will be exotic, will be totally different. Alright? No rush. He wants no one to rush, no one to hurry, no engines to work, no noise. When no engines will work, there will be no pollution, no one will be speaking, there will be no air pollution, there will be no noise pollution, and obviously then water will also remain clean. So he wants everyone to feel united in this strange atmosphere, and he says that I don't want people to go for fishing, for catching those whales and those fishes. What for they go for? That is the means of their survival. So he says, don't always rush for the means of survival. Stop some time, think. Whatever you are doing is helping you or is ruining your life. All right, and he also mentions for the person who goes to, take out salt, he wants those men, they are doing that work every day to earn money, and their hands are bruised. They are all wounds all around. He wants people to stop and look at themselves. Do something for themselves. Third paragraph, he wants to tell everyone that whoever is creating wars, he wants those people to stop the green wars. He doesn't want people to do any type of war with nature, that is for deforestation, mining, fishing, and taking out, this extracting oil from boring and drilling till deep into the earth and then taking out the oil. He wants people to stop all that. He wants people to stop any type of war and fights that they have. And he says that why is everyone moving out, rushing without thinking? For once they need to stop and introspect. Alright, then he says he wants them to wear new clothes. He wants them to put on new clothes, hold hands and walk like brothers in the shade. By new clothes, he means people should have a new way of thinking, new approach towards life. He wants them to adapt this new approach and to bring the feeling of unity, peace, brotherhood in yourself. Alright, and then he says that by no activity, he does not want people to misunderstand him. Inactivity does not mean that you will not do anything, does not mean death. He wants you to stop for some time and analyze whatever you're doing, what their consequences are and what the results are. You need to analyze. Alright, moving on to stanza 4, he says that people are rushing with a single-minded thought. What is that? Target is to survive. So for survival, person is running, rushing after their jobs and to earn money. And they are threatened by death. They feel that death will soon come. So before that, they need to do so much. But do you stop and think whatever you have achieved? Do you feel happy for that? Whatever you have accomplished? No. So he wants you to stop for some time and think about all this. Be happy for yourself. Admire nature that God has given. Instead of always exploiting it, enjoy life. Alright, and then he moves on to say that in the last stanza he says that we need to learn a lot from earth, from Mother Nature, that even if winter comes and everything is frozen, it doesn't mean that everything has come to a standstill. Nothing has stopped. Work is still going on beneath the soil, and as soon as the ice melts, everything starts coming out again. New buds, new leaves, new life. Things become green again. We too need to stop for a moment to bring the same environment of winter in ourselves. Introspect, retrospect. Retrospect means to look at the past events and see whatever you were doing was, what you were doing was really helping you or not. The past deeds, think, analyze. Alright, and then he at the end, in the starting he had appealed everyone to keep quiet. In the end he says, now I have explained everything, start your activity, this exercise on your own, and I am going now to motivate about the same to other people in the world. So in simple words, he has brought out such a deep meaning. We need to introspect. We need to stop for some time. We need to analyze whatever we are doing is for good of us, for the good of mankind or not. Alright, so this was the poem, and I am having my book with me today, and quickly we'll see the poetic devices. See, he says in the third line of the poem, he says, for once on the face of the earth. On the face of the earth. Now face usually we all have, so he's using a personification here for earth. Alright, So face of the earth is personification. The second one that he has used the poetic devices and not move our arms so much. For by using this word arms, he has meant as a whole, arms for what? For the physical arms also, for wars also, for fight, for arguments, all that. So by using this, he has meant a big, he has covered a big area by using this word arms. So he has used a whole. So, alright, so this is synecdoche. Alright, this is synecdoche. Then the third poetic device that he has used is hyperbole, when he says victory with no survivors. He says everyone, in the third stanza when he's talking about green wars and the wars with fire, he says that everyone is fighting, if there's so much of war, and there is victory without any survivors, victory with no survivors. Now, obviously when we fight, when there is a war, there is one victorious and the other doesn't win. So no survivors, he has exaggerated. People die, things are destroyed, alright, but here he has used a little exaggeration by saying no survivors. So this is a hyperbole. And when he talks about, in the third paragraph only, when he talks about wars, and then he says, now I want people to wear new clothes and walk like brothers. So in the same paragraph, he has used contrast by talking about wars also, by talking about walking like brothers also. So this is antithesis. Alright, these were the four poetic devices. And alliteration, obviously you'll be able to see if the same line, he uses words with the same consonants, then that is alliteration, that you can go and through the poem and see. If you go through any problem, obviously you will please put the problems in the comment section. I hope, I have seen people, raising doubts and even giving their, asking questions by posting it in my Gmail ID. I'm very happy with that, and I hope I am satisfying everyone by answering your questions and clearing your queries well. And do read the whole poem. I think I've covered everything. Alright, and if you have any problem, please ask in the comment section, or please mail it on my Gmail address. Alright, and do take good care of yourself. You also need to introspect and retrospect. We are all at home. We need to do this so that when we join back with a new approach. Goodbye, and please, if you have not subscribed, yes, please press the subscribe button. Goodbye.